I watch episode 48 of Pokémon every year because I watch every episode of Pokémon every year. In episode 48, Attack of the Prehistoric Pokémon, Charizard rises. Ash and friends arrive at Grandpa Canyon and encounter the only character who canonically has a grandpa. Again, his rival appears amongst a crowd to dig up Pokémon, but this time the Pokémon are dead and therefore more valuable. He puts the arch in archaeology. Gary, Indiana instinctively insults Ash's intelligence even though they are both very uneducated. The only thing that Gary enjoys more than verbal digs are actual digs. Inspired by the spirit of unfriendly competition, Ash is eager to involve himself in the excavation. His pseudo-intellectual sidekick is opposed to disturbing their final resting place, but the ginger doesn't care about the dead. As they debate the morality of pop paleontology, last week's edition emerges, ready to offer another a cappella concert. P. Jiggly followed them in the hopes to earn its worth, but by the time it works up the courage to reintroduce itself, the audience is empty. They've moved on, but Jigglypuff hasn't. The bluster of the Bone Wars busy the literal field of study. The amateurs bang away at the build-up without sedimentary sentiment or stratification strategy. The pompous prick postures his paleontological prowess, but is checked by a proper academic who authenticates his find as an old poo. Who's that Pokémon? A Pokémon. Sorry. Rock continues to deliberate the desecration of the dig site, denoting the detriments of the dirty science going down in the dusty gulch. Whilst he brings it down emotionally, the degenerates arrive to bring it down literally. The extremists introduce explosives to the academic setting, a historically accurate method, but also why history is inaccurate. Repeatedly incapable of hitting a target directly in front of it, Small Boy Squirtle proves to be the least skilled of Ash's Pokémon. Those sunglasses were prescription. Its failures mount and they all follow the fuse, forming into another pop culture reference. In a last-ditch effort from an actual ditch, Pikachu triggers the TNT. Destruction, debilitation, descent, darkness. As Ashes and friends search for signs of life, the singer enters the blast zone, seeing the tragedy as another stage. But nobody sees Jigglypuff. Buried beneath the earth, Ash and enemies encounter the purportedly extinct Pokémon awoken by the explosion. The King Crooks attempt to catch the cranky crawdads, but the ancient monsters are unimpressed by the marvels of the modern age. Ash tries to fight angst with more angst, but Charmeleon is also sleepy. After last being forced to lose on purpose, it decides to continue to live in that role. The foes flee from the feral fiends until the real threat rises. Aerodactyl pushes Charmeleon off of its pedestal, prompting it to finally fight on Ash's behalf. An act of fealty that Ash immediately abuses to abandon it as bait to be brutalized again. Ash's Pokédex again offers false information of another Pokémon's extinction. Aerodactyl takes to the air with Ash in its dactyl. His two Pokémon cling to their salvation to return to the surface with no one to soften their fall. At the opposing height of danger, Jigglypuff invites itself for another impromptu interlude, which Misty welcomes, not because she respects the artist, but to soothe the assailant back to sleep. Charmeleon fails to match up against its flying foe, and its scorn spurs its second evolution. The body is big. Ash assumes that Charizard evolved out of loyalty and love, but his assumption is quickly corrected by deliberate violence more in line with his Pokémon's past. past actions. Stunting on your enemies is a sign of emotional stunting, but their rancor is no match for the encore. With the quick ditty, the quarrel in the quarry is quelled. Aerodactyl sinks back into the depths, sealing itself in, and Charizard stays awake long enough to land safely by the next Pokémon that Ash will neglect. Jigglypuff again shares its alternative artistic vision before exiting, grading Gary's gaggle of groupies on a curve. The cop copes with a cover-up, claiming that the soft pop sounds led to shared hallucinations and defunds any further scientific pursuits. The balloon's tune takes the burden of blame, even though photographic evidence of the event exists and Aerodactyl appears all the time. The only Pokémon to actually go extinct was never really alive. Life found a way, but death is every way. Ash allows the lie to live, leaving the scene with the only actual find that his friends gaslight him into sharing. The past is lost in lies and lethargy. What little is found forms an incomplete future full of false facts and forgotten unknowns, where all that we leave behind is what comes out of our behinds. Pooh, to be continued.